Hello, troops. It is Aspen Zero today. This is my first time trying to use CapCut or any other form of actual editing format software. Sorry. I've never actually tried it before, so give me a chance. I don't really know what I'm doing. Today I'm drawing for you a scene from one of my stories. It's not exactly written out this way yet, but I just love drawing these two characters together. So the primary character that you see the focus on, the one that I'm coloring in right now, is Agape. He is basically the symbol for God in the book. He's the king of the positives, and he is love, he is light, life. You know, he transcends space and time, and he's pretty much all-powerful. And he seems to speak in riddles, but it's really not about confusing anybody. It's more so giving people a chance to respond and think and actually dive into what the answer might be. Now, Agape is the king of the positives, and the little guy right beside him, he is actually depression. Yes, surprising, I know. That's why I titled this video, Curing Depression. In the story, depression is symbolic of people, just like Agape is symbolic of God. So along the way of the story, depression realizes he does not want to hurt anybody anymore. He doesn't want to do that. I mean, who would? And so he goes on this journey with Anxiety, who has a crush on him, funnily enough. And he runs into a bunch of different characters, all while the Kingdom of Darkness, or the Negatives, is trying to recruit him into kind of a fight against Agape and the creatures of the light. And Depression doesn't want any part of that. And so basically, what happens is, through the journey, there are people that try to get him to change who he is. He tries to get to change who he is. People try to help him find a purpose separate from his purpose. And there's just a whole rigmarole of things that are going on in this story. It's a very interesting story, in my opinion. I like to write things that I don't see anywhere, but that I would like to read. I am not at all C.S. Lewis, but I try to use him as my motivation. Most especially Narnia, the Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe. You know, because Aslan, symbolic of Jesus, dies for his people and comes back. And Agape is going to go through a similar thing, because he is symbolic of God. And love is very self-sacrificial, which is what Agape is mentioning in this specific piece. So, I know in real life depression is evil. Like, as a spirit, he is evil. No one with depression is evil. I'm not saying that. Don't take it out of context. I went with depression because he's the one that I was most familiar with before God saved me from that horrible mental problem. So let's get into the actual art now that we've gone through the storyline. I actually really enjoy drawing Agape because I usually, if you watch any of my shorts or other videos, I really don't do long-form videos very often because of my poor editing skills thus far, though I would like to learn. See, as you can see, I didn't even realize that you couldn't even see the color of that colored pencil there. What I was going to say was that I enjoy drawing Agape because since I very often use cooler colors, which is why I mentioned my other videos, you'll see pretty much everyone is cool color. And Agape is made completely of warm colors. Well, his tail is purple, so that's a cool color. But the point being, he is a warm colored creature, and he glows and sparkles, as you will see a little bit later. You can sort of see the sparkles there. And I usually, when I draw him digitally, I put the sparkles on his body, and he glows anyway. You know, he's the only one that I very specifically never have a shadow for him because he's basically made of light, and warm feelings are the only thing you get from him. So he was a very warm colored creature, and he's the embodiment of love. So with Agape, you usually, no one has ever drawn him before, it's just me. When I draw him, I actually don't really use up too many of my colors because I use all the cool colors all the time. I'm very low on blues, which is actually why later in the video I'm going to be using some pink in the sky instead of just blue. Even though I think it would be a better contrast to have a cool color around him, which is why I actually put more cool color around him. But you'll see that in a moment anyway. And you can see right here, I actually realized you couldn't see the colored pencil, so I tried to get you to see it. And I'm very not proficient here. There we go. There's his tail. So he should be completely colored in after this. And sorry, I'm still not used to this, trying to think of what to say. I'm a noob. I know I'm a noob. But here you can see me outlining him in yellow. And this is because I want to later go over him in a white paint marker so that he actually glows. I would like his line art to glow. So the first step is to make around him glow. And here I am starting on Depression. I very much like his eye. He's literally a Gaster Blaster, let's be honest. He's such a Gaster Blaster. That's so funny. He usually doesn't have that eye glowing, but when I put a lot of detail into making a picture with them both, I usually have his eye glowing. I'm actually working on a comic simultaneously, where Agape and Depression, they're not exactly who they are in the book, but they have the same personality and same goal, essentially. So in that comic, they're going over phobias and whatnot. Depression is trying to be like Agape, and Agape is just like, that's not gonna work, dude. You gotta be you. You have a purpose that is not the same as mine. But the whole time, as they're going through the different phobias in this comic, Depression is like, wow, I want to be like you even more. You can travel through time. You know the future. You can insert yourself through space. You can fly. You're amazing. Stuff like that. And of course, Agape is someone to aspire to. Like, that's kind of part of the point. But that isn't just who he is. And Depression also has his own purpose. Just like every single person has a purpose. And one of the other reasons I went with Depression in the story, I'm sorry, I know I'm kind of bouncing around. I don't really have a script for this. One of the other reasons I went for him being a symbol of people is because people often get lost when they're trying to find their purpose, or they think they're doing something wrong, or it's just like they don't know what to do with their lives at all. So they go through this whole process of, should I do something that pursues money instead of my heart? Or should I starve and do what I love? Or should I do what this other person is doing because it's successful and I'm only sort of interested in it? And people have a lot of trouble finding their purpose. And I want this story to be all about, hey, you have a purpose so that people find God, and so that you find God. And it's not just that. You have a purpose. You were made innately to do what you love and what you're good at. And sometimes those don't always line up, but usually your purpose is in line with what you're good at and what you love. And Depression goes through this, he's basically going through a midlife crisis the whole time, let's be honest. Just trying to find his purpose and trying to figure out why all these bad things keep happening and why he has to be a harbinger of doom, essentially. And in the end, of course, he finds his purpose, just like I hope people all find their purpose. Everyone should find their purpose, in my opinion. What could be better in life than being completely fulfilled because you have found your purpose? In this frame, I'm just holding my hand there because I thought I was recording. I thought I wasn't recording. I thought I had it paused and I was trying to line it up. I was just being silly. But here I am filling in the pink sky. It's not just going to be pink, though, because I don't want it to just be a page of warm colors. I'm actually going to make the sky much like Agape's tail. And then I'm going to turn it into blue near the bottom. Every once in a while I do these zoom in points. I'm actually not even using... There was only a small part where I was using my other hand to hold the camera, which is what I usually do when I'm recording. I'm actually... I stole my fiance's... what's it called? The 3-prong phone holder that someone is going to roast me in the comments about. A tripod. So I just zoomed in on it because I know I like watching zoom in parts. When people zoom into a line and then color evenly around that line, that's so satisfying to me. So I wanted to do that a few times. And what I'm doing here with the eraser is, obviously, a pencil eraser does not completely erase colored pencil, but it does kind of give it a blurred effect. So what I did was make it just look like he was a little bit blurrier, and so his glowingness, I guess, glowing ability just blended more seamlessly into the colored background. I think I'm gonna zoom in here again, but I might not. Oh, yep, there it is. Yes, I just enjoy this kind of part. Even on my own drawing, to me, it looks satisfying to just color right up to the line and fill it in. Looks so good. Even if it doesn't look good in the end, at least this part of the process is satisfying. Man, I have so much more vocal fry when I'm speaking. I'm not trying to have vocal fry. I'm just not used to doing this yet. But hopefully I will be able to do this more regularly and I'll get used to it. But I'm actually almost finished with the picture here. So what I'm doing with the white gel pen right now is I'm going in to any of the sparkles that didn't get... that got colored in by the other colored pencils. And I'm just making them white again. Thank goodness I got a gel pen. It's easier to have more refined details with the gel pen. As you saw earlier, that's what I did Depression's eye with, aside from the blue part. Originally I wanted to do this light blue for the sky, but it really didn't mesh with the purple very well. I was thinking just pressing harder would help, but it didn't. So I just went ahead and I switched to a darker blue because I thought, you know what, that'll match the purple much better and it'll still look pretty. It will still completely match the background, and there will be more cool colors that are very obviously cool colors. And that will be a great contrast to the primary standing of Agape as the protagonist in this scene. He's actually not the protagonist in the book, though. He only comes in at like 60 pages in. He comes in kind of late for an introduction of a major character. But he is one of those characters that's like mentioned throughout the story. You know, like Darth Vader in Star Wars was only on screen for like 34 minutes, but he's probably the most famous character because of how much he was alluded to. It's going to be pretty much the same with Agape here. Kind of similar to how God is pretty much always present in our lives, but we don't hardly ever notice him until we actually put our focus there. Can you imagine if it was like a creepy family member who was as present as that, like breathing down your neck all the time, and you just didn't even know it was there until you turned around? Like, that would be a real jump scare moment. For the clouds, I really take kind of the inspiration from a peach, I guess. I really like it when kind of yellow fades into orange, fades into pink. So I wanted to do that with the clouds, and I also wanted to add the purple, such as Agape's tail goes from pink to purple, because I think it would be a good shadow color for orangish, pinkish. And I actually don't use yellow a lot in my pictures because I'm not a big fan of yellow, but I really enjoy using yellow on clouds. I think it looks really good, especially when it's done right. I do get kind of sloppy with the clouds a bit, though, because I filmed this all in one take, because I don't really know how to do multiple videos at a time yet. I know, total noob. You can call me a noob all you want. But I think the clouds in the end do look alright. And I probably wouldn't get close up on every part of this picture that I think looks alright. But I don't want to judge my art too harshly. People already do that enough to themselves. It's the really good people who often judge themselves so badly they think they're awful. And the people who aren't the best yet who think they're the next Da Vinci or something. Now, what I like to do when I do a radical shading like this, with the purple and yellow pretty much pressed up against each other, is I like to take the eraser, because of the blending effect it has. I'll show you. You'll see in a minute. Yeah, you will see in a minute. This video's almost done. Phew. Been sitting in here talking to my phone for like 16 minutes now. Kinda awkward. Being really weird if someone walked in. Anyhow, here I am going in with the purple. Trying to get... Purple is the least amount of color in the clouds, because it's the primary shading. Like, it's the darkest of the dark here. And I know most artists will recommend that you start with the shading, but every time I start with the darkest color, it just turns out really weird for me. I don't know why. Of course, it does look kind of forced together here, but that's why we're going to use the eraser in a moment. And yeah. Sorry, getting lost in watching it. So I use the eraser here. So because of the blending effect earlier, if you remember when I mentioned that with Agape's glowing, it just looks a little bit more blended and a little less forced. I don't think it did a great job on that first cloud there, but it does look alright on the cloud on the left. And I think with this lower cloud, yeah, I just show you a little portion of each color that I used. And then I do the shading and blending and erasing off screen, because I knew that this was going on for a while, and I really wanted you to have the best, just a little bit of a picture of what I was doing. Besides, you already saw the other two clouds. But this is pretty much how the rest of it goes, and then you'll just see as you can tell, there are already signatures all over the picture, so I'm not going to zoom in and sign it or anything. I did all that when I was, doing the line art the other day. Yesterday, I think. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I really hope that you guys have a blessed day and be fruitful. Hug your mother, drink some water, say your prayers, drink some more water, because I know half of you are dehydrated watching this video. I mean, I'm getting thirsty, John. I've just been sitting here for 20 minutes. I do hope you enjoyed it. I probably should have timed that a little better. I didn't realize that I was going to be using this pink for so long. But that was pretty much supposed to be my quote-unquote outro. So, yeah. The rest of this scene is basically Agape and Depression having a small discussion before Depression has to leave. And Agape is saying... He's reminding Depression of a time when they spoke before about love being a sacrificial thing. And Depression is kind of confused as to why it's getting brought up. And as you can see in this zoom-in frame, it is almost time to show you exactly what I mean. This is really close to before... this is very close to when Agape is going to have to sacrifice himself to save those he loves. And that's pretty much the whole thing. Oh, wait. Haha. I'm so silly. I forgot I was going to go over this again in white. And I just didn't realize how long this was. I really thought this was 15 minutes, and I just went in and immediately started filming and editing with the voiceover, which I am not used to doing. I know. I'm really cringe. You can call me a noob again if you want. That's perfectly fine. But I haven't opened these markers in like a month because it's been so cold outside that they just kind of got all crusty. So it took a while for the white to actually work, and I had to go over it a couple of times. I had to go over it like 5 times, even after shaking it all up. But you'll see in just a moment how the final piece finally turned out. And I really hope that you actually enjoy it, because I wasn't sure how I felt about it. I think it was kind of thick. I usually don't mix the paint and the pen, especially not one on top of the other. But because he's glowing, I wanted to give it a shot and step out of my comfort zone. And you guys should all step out of your comfort zones. This entire thing is an experiment to step out of my comfort zone. So I urge you to do the same when you get your water and hug your mother and